Hello, it's Bishop Mark. Today is Luke chapter 2, verses 5 to 7. And we're talking about the birth of Jesus, which is also called the Incarnation. We think of it as Christmas, but this is such an important part of the Bible. It's when Jesus, the Savior, the Messiah, was born. Yesterday, I showed you a map, and the map was of the Holy Land, and you saw where Joseph had to travel from Nazareth in the north to Bethlehem in the south under Jerusalem. There was a long trip, and he had to go to Bethlehem because there was a census, there was an enrollment. The Romans wanted to count all the people, and since he was from David's house and David was born in Bethlehem, he had to go to Bethlehem. So we'll pick it up from there. We know that he traveled to the house of David. So at verse 5 begins, to be enrolled with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. So he took Mary with him down to Bethlehem, and we usually think of them as riding on a donkey, but Mary was with child, so that was not an easy trip. And when they get there, do you know what happens? Do you know what comes next in the Bible? Yes, I think you do. Think of those Christmas pageants, and when they go to the inn, what happens? Okay, we'll continue. I just know that you know this story because it's Christmas. It's so familiar. Okay. While they were there in Bethlehem, the time came for her to have her child. That's Jesus, the Savior. And she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. You know those Christmas pageants where usually some child dressed as Joseph and some girl dressed as Mary, in those pageants, they walk up to the inn and say, is there any room in the inn? And the innkeeper says, no, there's no room in the inn. Well, that's what happened literally to Mary and Joseph. They went to Bethlehem. There were so many people there, probably to be counted in this small place, that there was just no room for them, even though she was going to have a baby. So they went to the manger, which is pretty much in a barn with the animals and the hay, like we see in the Christmas scenes. And there she did have a baby. And Mary knew enough to wrap Jesus up. Babies like to be held tight. Do you ever seen a newborn? They're kind of all wrapped up, and it's called swaddling clothes. And so Mary took care of Jesus, and I'm sure Joseph took care of both of them. And they wrapped up Jesus, and that's the birth of God, the birth of Jesus, the Messiah. It's such a humble beginning. Do you know the word humble? Kind of lowly, not pompous, not bragging, but just a humble birth. For God to be born among us. Because Jesus is God, you know. So God comes to us to speak to us, to show us how to live, to show us how to love, to show us heaven. God decides, I'm going to come and be a part of them. And that was promised in the Old and the Testament, that the Messiah would come. And this is the time that God fulfills his promise. But he doesn't come down among us like some kind of vision, like the angel came, or all grown up. God truly became one of us. God becomes a human, a boy, a baby. And he grows up, and we're going to find out all about his what he does when he's all grown up, to show us. But God was a baby. So the baby is both fully 100% a person and at the same time 100% God. Now that's going to blow your mind because that's so hard to understand. But this beautiful birth is of Jesus, the Messiah, and yet it happened in a stable because there was no room in the inn. Okay, guess who's going to come next time? I bet you know. Yes, it's the shepherds. The shepherds are going to come in our next verses of Luke's Gospel. Peace to you. God bless. Bye now.